Hi, and welcome back to my channel. I'm about to do my October wrap-up, and as I get ready to do it, I'm just bringing up a couple of things on screen. The first thing is my my iPad notes, or should I say my iOS notes, because it goes across all my devices. So let's do some numbers. Before I do my numbers, I'd like to share a screen with you. And that screen is part of, I'm going to turn on my screen recorder so I can create another link that I can put into this video while I'm talking to you right now to my menu of spreadsheets. You see it, Robin's 2025 reading spreadsheet. But if you see, I scroll down to right here. Do you see that 2025 reading spreadsheet? This is a spreadsheet that was not created by me. It was created by somebody named Brock, and Brock has a channel called Let's Read. He does not do content anymore, but he does update this spreadsheet every year right around the last day of the year. So around December 30th or December 31st, we should get the 2026 spreadsheet. So what you do is you just copy it over, or you make a duplicate of it, I should say. You rename that duplicate, and what you see on the top right here is Robin's 2025 reading spreadsheet. Well, there's a categories page, which I keep hidden because I don't use it regularly, but for the sake of this clip, I'm opening that categories page. And if you look at this categories page, I'm just going to highlight each column. First, gender of the author, male, female, both unknown. Age group is an adult, YA, middle grader, kids. Genre is extensive. Let's go over it. I'm trying to highlight it, but I can't. Okay. We're going to go out of it. Oh, there we go. Okay. Genre is fiction, nonfiction, science fiction, fantasy, horror, thriller, new world, poetry, mysteries and thrillers, romance, cozy mystery, women's fiction, historical fiction. As you can see, there's psychological fiction, inspirational romance. Okay, so those are the genres. Go over to the format. How am I getting the book? Am I getting it hardcover, trade, paperback, mass market, ebook, audio, etc.? Uncorrected proof, which is by far the majority of what I'm reading. Then we have Then we have publisher, and this is just such a long list, I'm not even going to go over it. Long list. So when you start this, I think what this goes up to, literally when you open his first spreadsheet, I think it just does Penguin, Random House, Hachette, Harper, Macmillan, and Simon & Schuster. And then slowly, as I read books, then I factor in, I just go to this page and add. Like if I wanted to add another publisher, I would just go to the last line and say new publisher. And now this new publisher, if I read a book by this new publisher, it will be included into what I'm going to show you in a few moments. Then we have acquired, purchase, gift, free, ARC, library, or shelf, new and used, or library, location, like where the book is, series, is it started, is it ongoing, is it complete, DNF, standalone, or caught up, what country does it take place in, US, Canada, or United Kingdom. Those are the three that are on the original spreadsheet, but I have since added in Australia, France, China, Japan, and India because of a couple of different books that I've read this year. What is the length? Is it novel, novella, anthology, short story, etc.? Whoa, no, we don't want to merge that. Okay, we're going to not let it merge that. Then we have protagonist, male, female, or ensemble. The diversity tab, is it race, LGBTQIA, mental illness, disability, you see there chronic illness, neurodivergent, BIPOC, own voices, etc. Language, is it English, French, Chinese, Spanish, or Italian? This is important because I keep messing that up. This is important because sometimes you'll read a work that has been translated into English for our review. And if it was a borrowed book, have I returned it? What's the format of the book? Is it physical or is it digital? And uh, then we have ratings, which he does half stars from 0 to 5. I just use whole stars. And it's status: read, reread, currently reading, etc. Reviewed, Earth, like, is it yes, no, or maybe? Is it on Earth? Is it on is it a sci-fi book and it's based in another world? Or is it speculative fiction and it's maybe? And then TBR, this year, previous year, and reread. So those are all categories that Brock has built into his spreadsheet. And if you look at the very bottom of this page, above those icons, I want to see if I can make this full screen. Okay. No, we don't want that. No, that wasn't a great idea. Okay. What was I trying to show you? Oh, I know what I was trying to show you. We're going to go back into, let's go out of category. Okay. I just lost what I wanted to show you. But what I just wanted to show you was where it said enter text and formula. Well, if you go to book survey is the place where you put in all the books that you are reading. I know I'm doing this upside down. So January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, and then this month of October. Whenever you see yellow on the left side where those numbers are, it tells me that this has been a Neck Alley arc. If it's not shaded yellow, then most likely it's a Kindle Unlimited or a library book. But as I plug in information, like for example, I'm just going to do this in a quick way. I started A Daughter's Choice last night. I'm currently reading it. It's from Barbara. It's an uncorrected proof. Here, I need to put that it's an inspirational romance. I can do that right now. I haven't rated it, obviously. It's 2025. It's an ARC. It's digital. I'm not sure how quick I'm going to write the review, but I already know that it's a full-length novel. And I haven't read it, so I can't judge the time. It's part of a series, so we'll just say ongoing. A female author, a female protagonist, U.S., and what I usually do, this has never changed for me, so I just grab this and copy and paste it just to save a little time. So that's the book I'm reading now, A Daughter's Choice, and I just filled all of that in. When I finish that today, which will be today, November 1st, I will put the date in, and then I will change this to red. And then when you go over to the summary page, all of that information that you've been plugging in all year, all week, or all month, whatever way you want to look at it, it's all itemized or calculated in this summaries page. So when I'm about to give you these numbers for books I read and pages, etc., this isn't me with pen and paper or with a calculator. This is cleverly designed by Brock and several others to incorporate formulas that do things, that track the amount of pages, the number of books in each genre, how many 4 stars, how many 5 stars, how many books were uncorrected proofs, how many books were library books. It just gives you all that. And I could have sworn I put do not disturb on. Let's do that. And we have how many pages, like for example, this is one of the screenshots that I usually use. It's how many books I read in a month, how many pages I read in a month, and how many pages per day did it average. So all of this is tabulated, but it's tabulated in another way as well. And I think I have, okay, go over to charts, and it tells you that it's not compatible with this tablet, but it is. And I click OK, and all that data that I just showed you on that summary page is also built into charts and graphs. I have not yet taken the time to learn to create my own formulas, So I'm thankful that Brock has created the formulas that incorporate all this information. So we're just going to make this one large right here. This one here is format. It gives you the pie chart, line chart as to whether it's ebook, audio, uncorrected proof, or say like this one, pages by genre, gives you a pie chart. This one here, I'm not sure what this one is because it's, genre. Then this one is uncorrected proof versus audio versus ebook, and then one children's book. So you can see by far with this blue that most of what I read is uncorrected proofs. I've read only a few novellas, which is 4% of my year, or actually 4.9. So 5% of what I read this year has been novellas, and there you have it. So I just wanted to show you that. So we're going to just hop over to the actual purpose of this review, of this video, and I'm just bringing it up on my tablet. And we have 41 books that I read this far. I know that I've been looking down this whole time, but I was trying to share with you the information from Brock's video, and I am stopping screen recording on this so that you won't even see me in that part. I'm going to just run that over this. But right now, hi, I'm back. 41 books this month. Pages were 13,291. Average pages per book were 332. Average pages per day was 429. 29 of what I read were arcs. 3 of what I read were library book in audiobook format. And that's a low number for me for library books for this month, but it's reflected in the fact that 9 of the books that I read this month were Kindle Unlimited. So I know that number doesn't quite add up. It doesn't add up at all because that adds up to 38. Oh, it does, 41. Okay. I just had to do quick math. Okay. Of this whole month of 41 books, 5 were audiobooks, 3 were library, and 2 were from Nichole. And maybe as I do my summary, I will let you know which one of those were. I did have 1 book that took place in Australia, 15 in the UK, and 25 in the US. And I started tracking something this month because it's on Brock's spreadsheet where you can also track it. 25 of the 41 books I read this month were audiobooks. Yeah, 25. Of these books, 14 were mystery thrillers. Actually, 15. I changed that. I made a correction, so we're going to make that correction here. 15 were mystery thrillers, which means 8 were psychological thrillers, 1 was romance, 1 was historical fiction, 1 was women's fiction, 2 were inspirational romances, and I read 11 cozy mysteries. And I'll break that down for you in a moment. This year, like I mentioned, it's Brock's spreadsheet, so I was able to track that I have read 344 books this year so far. My page count is 109,189, and my average pages per book this year has been 317. Because I am a reviewer, I also track this. 26 reviews on my blog in October. That makes 276 so far, with 12 of them being blog tours. Those are all the stats. Now you know how I came by those stats. I'm going to give you the quickest summary that I can give you. I don't know if I can be concise with this, but I'm going to do my best. So now I am bringing up, what do I need to bring up? Oh, I need to bring my spreadsheet back up, and we'll go from there. So we're going to start, and the books won't necessarily be in order. They will be in order in the case of whenever there is a connected title to a series that I'm mentioning. So, without any further ado, The Killer She Knew. It's a 3rd book in the Lee Brody FBI mystery series. There's a case, a brutal murder, that mimics a case that Lee remembered from 18 years previously, and she's trying to connect both crimes and stop the killer. And the reason that she knows that connected as the particular signature. Then I read the first book in the Dream Harbor series by Laurie Gilmore. It is the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, and it's the first, like I said, in the Dream Harbor series. I did have the last book, the latest book in the series, book number 5 or 6, by means of Libro FM, but I decided not to get any more because it's a little too spicy for my liking. Then I read Irish Parade Murder by Leslie Meier. There are 31 books in this Lucy Stone series. For some reason, I missed reading this about a year ago. It is the 27th book, so it might have been 2 years ago. And it's St. Patrick's Day. Bill, which is Lucy's husband, just lost his father. Lucy is having a good interaction with her mother-in-law. There's a new reporter at the newspaper that Lucy works for, and she's worried about the safety of her job. And it's a murder mystery because it's a cozy mystery. So there's a lot going on. The next 6 books, I'm not going to give you summaries on those. I'll just tell you about them. They were all part of the Delaney Pace series. And a quick introduction to Delaney is she was a long-haul trucker for the last 10 years. She goes back to her hometown in Kearney, Wyoming, because her niece's parents were killed in an auto wreck. And because her niece lost her parents, now Delaney is guardian to her niece. So she has to, be boots on the ground, so to speak. So she gets a job back in her hometown as deputy investigator because she was a cop before she started driving trucks. There's a reason that she left police work, and now we know the reason she's back at police work. She works alongside, first it was Deputy Leo Palmer, but then he gets promoted to sheriff. So we have Sheriff Leo Palmer. Those 6 books, this is part of my video. I hope to make quick, so if there's any book that piques your interest and you want a full review, your girl's got it up here, so just let me know and I'll make that video. Then we have You Belong Here by Megan Miranda, and we have Beckett Bowery. She's a ghostwriter. She thought she left her hometown of Wyatt for good, Wyatt Valley. She was done with it. But her daughter, unbeknownst to her, applied for and got a scholarship to Wyatt College. So her daughter goes off to Wyatt College. Now it's parents meet and greet time. So now Beckett has to go back to her hometown. She goes back, and it's really difficult for her because there's a secret that she had been keeping for years that she thought was behind her. Her daughter goes missing, and it's a pretty good book. Then I had a historical romance, To Win Her Hand. That is by Melissa Addey. And here we have an arranged marriage with Lady Celia and Alexander, who is Lord Comerford. He comes back from the war ready to claim his bride. She's not having it. She wants love. And if it means choosing someone else, then she's going to buck tradition and do that. Then we have The Baby on My Doorstep by Miranda Smith. And here we have our character. Her name is Emily. Her divorce is pending. She's overwhelmed with loneliness. And she's also consumed with the disappearance of her sister. One day she gets a knock on the door or a ringing of a doorbell. And the persistence of that person on the other side of the door, she finally goes to the door. Nobody's at the door. She looks down. There's a basket and there's a baby. So she doesn't know what to do. So the first person she thinks to call is her ex-husband, or her soon-to-be ex-husband, because a divorce was pending. And just before the baby got there, she was literally looking at those papers thinking, am I going to sign these divorce papers? Well, they call the police. Police take the baby. They run DNA, find out the baby's related to her. The CPS brings the baby back. And now she is really curious about the loss of her sister because, okay, I'm going to leave that part. I don't want to spoil it. Then we have The Son-in-Law by Ellie Monago. This is Diana meeting her daughter Lisa's new boyfriend, Gavin, or new fiance. So I think they're at a restaurant. And Diana says, Lise, and she changed her name. I think it was Alicia, and she became older. She wanted a more sophisticated name. Lise brings her fiance to dinner, and her mother, Diana, is shocked and horrified. There's a reason, there's a history, and that's when the story splits into then and now, and we find out that Gavin will go to any extreme to uh, pressure Diana for reasons of his own, and then Diana will go to any extreme to protect Lise, her daughter. Then we move on to My Daughter's Baby by Kate Hewitt. And here we have Diana and her husband Andrew had been estranged from their daughter Sophia for 18 months, but they get a phone call, a terrified phone call from their son-in-law, Tom, and he says Sophie's in the hospital, and they barely have a chance to get there and to say goodbye to her. But she had a baby, died shortly after childbirth, and now Andrew, the husband or the father-in-law of Tom, is pushing to get custody of this baby. Then we have The Writer's Retreat by Samantha Verant. And Montgomery, she thought she hit the jackpot when she got invited to an exclusive retreat where established writers get together on a regular basis. She is not established, but she's hoping that this retreat will give her the edge she needs to learn how to be a good writer. But the tide begins to turn, secret stack up, tension builds, and then there's a murder. Okay, then we have My Husband Next Door. This is by K.L. Slater, and it's a very interesting setup. We have Sylvie and Matt, who are neighbors, and I want you to look at the book cover that's going to be on the screen. As you can see, you have the reddish color house on top and the blue on the bottom and the two yellow doors. I'm describing it from memory. And that's because, and then you see the woman that's standing between the two doors. They are married, but Sylvie lives there and Matt lives there. So they dinner together, they have sexy time together, they have movie time together, they have date night together. But at the end of the day, Matt always goes home. Well, their peaceful existence is marred by two things. One is young girls, at least two, have gone missing. And Sylvie has a daughter that's right about the age of the girls that have gone missing. That's part of the drama. But the bigger part of the drama is Brenda, a lady named Brenda, moves in across the way of Sylvie and Matt, and she decides she's Sylvie's best friend. And that drama involving the missing girls, she's determined to prove to Sylvie that Matt is not the man she thinks he is, and now she's Sylvie's best friend, and she's there to protect Sylvie. Then we have Witness to Murder. This is by Deborah Webb. It's the fourth book in her Colby Agency, The Next Generation series. The first book was A Colby Christmas Rescue, which I had as an ebook for review. Then I had Alibi for Murder, Memory of Murder, and this one, Witness to Murder. Those last three were audiobooks narrated by Megan Toozing, and they were really good, brief books, like 224 pages, which was less than 2 hours or so on audio. I can read through an audiobook really quickly. And here in this one, we have Leah, who is the prime suspect for a man that she was supposed to have dinner with. It was a blind date situation, and now she tries to prove her innocence, so she hires an investigator from the Colby Agency. All right, now I got to find my place again. Oh, then I had Green Pastures, which is Tabitha Schrock returning to Lancaster County. The author, by the way, is Patricia Johns, and she had a recent divorce, so she's not going to be able to marry within the Amish community, but she does help her sister Amanda with her marital difficulties. With Amanda looking for a husband and her sister Rose with her marital difficulties. Then we have Julia's Song is Undateable by Susan Lee. I had this as a blog tour, but it also came in as an audiobook, And as the audiobook, I was able to really enjoy it. It was narrated by a new narrator to me. Her name was Nichole. But this book here, Julia, is a woman who should have been married by then, and that's what the Korean custom dictated for a woman that has reached the age of 30. So she hires a coach, a dating coach, in order to help Julia date different men to see who is suitable for a husband. The dating coach is 5 years her junior, 25 years old, and is somebody she used to babysit, but sparks eventually fly between the two of them. Then we have one other family, Liz and her boyfriend Jensen. They move in with her family, and it doesn't take long for things to start to go wrong and for Jensen to give that creepy feeling to you as a reader. Then we had Billion Dollar Ransom. It wasn't a review title. I got this from Libby by my library by James Patterson. You have 6 kidnappings. With the 6 kidnappings, they all took place at the same time, but they were all over the world. And each ransom was for $1 billion. And that's why it's called Billion Dollar Ransom. And if you look, you've got to look at the cover of this, and you'll see that there's a little tagline in there. Then we have The Last Safe Place by Marion Kumaro. It's the emotional story of several trying to avoid deportation and to find safety in Switzerland during the Second World War. At that time, being a Jew being married to an Aryan was at this point no longer recognized, and lives were at stake. They had to wear the yellow star. They had to deal with rations. They had to deal with the difficulties in transportation. For example, Jews couldn't drive either. Jews couldn't drive anymore at all, or Jews couldn't drive at night. I mean, there was a lot of difficulties there. Then we have The Woman Downstairs by J.D. Kirk. We have Diane and Chloe. Chloe moves into Diane's building, and it's not by chance. It's definitely not by happenstance. She moves in there with a purpose, with an agenda. So this story is kind of interesting because it feels like it's a little repetitive, but it's not. Why do I say that? Because first we have Diane's story, or Diane's POV, and then we have Chloe's POV, and then we find out that they each have their own agenda, and it's full of twists, and ended up being a very, very good book. Then we have What Have You Done by Nichole Trope. We have Juliet, a promising ballerina, but she was doing a jump, and the male dancer dropped her. She ruined her knee and lost her career. Meanwhile, as the book goes through, you see where things were as a child, how her childhood was, how her young adulthood was, and how her life is now that she's no longer a ballerina. All of these things, for the first maybe 1/3 of the book, I felt like I was being triggered. There were some triggering things in this book, but I powered through, and I encourage you to power through because it ended up being an excellent book, especially with the twist in this book. Then I had another Amish fiction book. This is C is for Courting by Shelley Shepherd Gray. This is her 3rd book in the Amish ABCs series. The first one was an Amish ABC. Second one is A is for Amish is the first one, I'm sorry. Second one is B is for Bonnet, and this one here, C is for Courting. And this is Beth's story, and Beth is, looking for love. This is what the Amish do. They marry and they raise families. Well, these four Schrock siblings returned to their grandparents' home who were Amish, and now these 4 young people, over the course of this series, do their best to return to the Amish community. And then we have 2 books here, The Hanging Dolls and Run for Her Life. They were both by Ruhi Chaudhary, and they were books in the Zoe Storm series. And it's books 1 and 2 that I grabbed from, one from Kindle Unlimited, one from NetGalley, because I would hope to participate in future blog tours. And so, and here we have Special Agent Zoe Storm and the cases that she has. And I just leave that there. Then we have another two books that I read back to back for the same purpose. They were Sleep in Heavenly Pizza by Mindy Quigley and At That Stove, also by Mindy Quigley. And in this book, we have our character Delilah in the residence of Wisconsin, Geneva Bay in Wisconsin. And a quick little note is that Delilah is dating the local cop whose last name is Capone, and the whole town is obsessed with mafia or the mob. Then we have Secrets at the Irish Adoption House. It's World War One, and our young woman Cecilia has fallen in love with someone that her father wouldn't approve of. For other reasons, they get separated. She finds out she's pregnant, so she ends up going to a home for unwed mothers that's run by nuns, and the reputation of the home sounded good to her, but when she moved into that home, it was anything but good. It was highly charged, highly emotionally charged. Then I have Murder Most British, which is the third book in the Secret Detective Agency. We have Miss Jane Treen. It's 1941 in London. She is a government spy that goes on missions, and then she works with someone named Arthur Salento. And in the first couple of books, I thought Arthur was going to be in charge, but this book shows that she is the key agent in these missions that they're doing. Then I had another series book, which is Every Last One, which is Sandra Voss book 2. And this was really tense because there was a hospital takeover, hostage situation. It happened during a board meeting. Hospital goes on lockdown, nobody in, nobody out. And the assailants or the hostage takers were very calculated and very careful and very good because they blocked the cell signals so no calls could go in or out. And as that situation escalated, they called in Special Agent Sandra Voss. She's gifted as far as being an excellent negotiator. And then we have an emotional edge to the story. There's a 4-year-old a 4-year-old child, a little girl, who at midnight was getting a heart transplant. So Sandra must get this situation resolved because the life of that little girl is hanging by the balance. Then we have Murder at Midwinter Farm. It's the 22nd book in the Miss Underhay series by Helena Dixon. And we see here in this book that Kitty Underhay couldn't have been any happier for her friend Alice, who is her former maid, is now engaged to Robert, and Robert buys a house that has a bad history connected with it. Anyway, they're about to install telephone lines for the very first time, and the workers, as they're digging, they find a skeleton in the ground, and that's the mystery that Kitty undergoes in this book. Then we have Murder at the Scottish Ball, an Opal LaPlume mystery. It's the third book in that series. Opal is a privileged young woman. Her father's an ornithologist, her mother's a milliner, and they're now enjoying dinner at a posh ball, but the host drops dead. And now Opal wants it. She's the amateur detective in the series. But there's a thread here. The thread here is that something put Opal in danger in the second book of the series, and the thread is slightly carried through this one, so I'm curious to see what it will go with book 4. So, we have Mystery at Mistletoe Place, which is an Eve Mallow mystery book number 15, 5, 10, 15. I've read all of the previous books. And what's interesting about this book is that our character, Eve Mallow, is about to enjoy the centennial celebration of a boatyard where she lives, her and her friend Viv. Her husband, Robin, can't even say my own name. Her husband, Robin, is away, and now Eve and Viv are there, and as it happens, the owner of the boatyard, Arthur, he drops dead or is found murdered. So now they are going to solve the murder if they can. And then I have 4 books. I'm not going to summarize these. They are An Irish Bookshop Murder, Death by the Book, Death at Inishmore Castle, and Murder on the Clock. These are all Mercy McCarthy mystery books. A nice, cozy mystery series that I cannot wait to continue to follow. It focuses on our 2 protagonists. We have Mercy, who is a well-known writer, and we have her sister Lizzie, who has experienced great traumatic loss, and also the story considers the fact that their grandfather left them a heritage which allowed them to leave Tennessee and move to Ireland. However, they never knew their father. They didn't know the grandfather was from Ireland, but this is where they make their life. Really good book. But it's a cozy mystery series, so expect a murder to happen across each book in the series. The last book I read this month was Circle of Days by Ken Follett. It's the year 2500 BCE, and you have people that are trying to do something that is consistent. And they're different. Uh, they're miners, they're clansmen, there's priestesses there, and they're trying to figure out a way to build a big stone circle. And what I love about this book is Ken Follett did extensive research about the real Stonehenge, and then he adapted his research to create or to write this book. I wasn't too crazy about some of the scenes. Some made me uncomfortable, so so I gave this book 3 stars. Some of the scenes made me uncomfortable. I'll just leave it at that. So that is it for this video. I will thread it all together and get it uploaded. I have a couple other videos that you'll see from me, so you might see the same shirt in a few videos, but just take it for what it is. Thank you for watching. See you next time.